Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Puranas are the main sources of giving moral and ethical education to people. Especially Puranas, one of the treasure house for our Indians. We should feel proud of having such a treasure which gives all the types of information. Moreover, it has 18 Puranas. Among 18 Puranas, all were described by Veda Vyasa. What are the ethics and morals we can get from this mean? Truthfulness, honesty, etc. For example, if you take the story of Harishchandra, it gives a authentic information, confirmation. Truth alone wins, not falsehood. Satyam jayati nanratam. Truth alone wins. Satyameva jayate. Whatever the hurdles he faced, he was created so many troubles by the sage Vishwamitra and also Nakshatraka. But Harishchandra stuck to the truthfulness. Finally, he conquered even the sage Vishwamitra. Similarly, when you come across the great king Nala, he also similarly, the great king, he also fought for justice. He also got victory at last. While we see these and all, these Puranas give us a sort of knowledge. Today, moral and ethical stories in Puranas were taken the topic. Start with prayer. Gurave sarvalokanam vishaje bhavaroginam nidaye sarvavidyanam dakshinamutaye namaha. Puranas are treasure house of many moral illustrations. There are several stories of kings illustrative of different qualities. The moral and ethical standards of our nation are presented, propagated, and through the stories of various kings and even common men. Necessity of morals and ethics in human life has all-time demand in the human world. The following are few stories of some noble kings to illustrate from the volumes of Puranas of India as the icons of various ethical standards. Let us see the brand ambassador of truthfulness, Harishchandra. For the sake of protecting the truth, the king faced all the tests of fate. He left the kingdom, wife, and even his own son. He became the caretaker of burial ground. His story runs like this. Harishchandra was an ancestor of Rama. He ruled over Ayodhya with his wife Chandramati and son Rohitasva. He was a just and noble king, and his subjects led a happy and peaceful life during his reign. Harishchandra, having learnt the value of truth, took a vow to never tell a lie or go back on his word. In the meantime, he gained fame for his truthfulness, honesty, and integrity. This fame reached the heaven, and the gods wanted to test him. They chose the sage Vishwamitra and sent him to test the king. And accordingly, he set out his plans. Seeking to accomplish his task, Vishwamitra tried many things to get Harishchandra to lie or to renege on a promise, but all his efforts went in vain. For Harishchandra was as committed to his values as had been heard by the gods. Finally, Vishwamitra manipulated circumstances into a situation where Harishchandra was obliged to give up his kingdom and all his possessions to the sage. Even when thus tricked, Harishchandra gave up his kingdom with a smile and with his wife and son, wearing only rags and barks of trees, set out for the forest. Stunned by such generosity, and in a last attempt at provoking the king, Vishwamitra asked him for the donation which is given to a sage after charity, with dakshina. As the king had no money on him to pay the dakshina to the sage, he asked him to give a month's time to arrange for the payment. Nowhere he could find any source to earn. He reached the holy city of Kashi. He would not get even his livelihood there. By the advice of his wife, he sold her in the slaves' market to an old Brahmin and gave the money to the sage Vishwamitra. To pay the sage further, he joined in the service of Chandala to assist him in the cremation grounds, for which he was paid some money. The king gave that money was freed from the debts of the sage Vishwamitra. The king learnt all the toughest deeds of the cremation ground under the training of Chandala, and the later was using him as utter slave. One day, Chandramati, who was serving as a slave in the house of the old Brahmin, had to brought the body of Rohitasva, her son, who was snake bitten and died, to the burial ground for cremation. As she was in her veil, Harishchandra could not identify her and asked her to pay him the charge of cremation. She told that she had no money with her, as she was leading her life as a slave. Then he demanded her to offer her golden Mangala Sutra. She was stunned. Her Mangala Sutra has a rare power that it could be seen only by her husband. So she could notice that he was none other than her husband. She wept and told him the happenings. Harishchandra recognized her and wept for his dear son as well as their condition, but yet he demanded for money to cremate her son. Harishchandra agreed. She was tearing her clothes. Gods wanted to put an end to their test. Gods, in appreciation of his great commitment to the vow of speaking truth, showered flowers on the couple. The gods and the sage Vishwamitra appeared before him and blessed him to get back his riches and son. His Chandala form also disappeared and lived happily for a long time with this truthfulness. Next, Nala, the king Nala, the king of righteousness. The king Nala is an icon of Dharma. He prepared himself to lose his love for Damayanti for the sake of the word he gave to the Dikpalakas. When he knew that he is about to become a dwarf person, he left his wife with a thought that at least she would be safer and led an insignificant life in the kingdom of Rituparna with a name Bahuka. Let us see the details of the stories. King Veerasena of Ayodhya had two sons, Nala and Pushkara. Nala wanted to marry Damayanti, the beautiful daughter of King Bhima. Damayanti did not know him, so Nala sent his swan to her. The swan flew to Damayanti's palace and finding her alone in the garden, sang praises of Nala. Meanwhile, King Bhima arranged for her Swayamvara, where many princes gathered, from whom Damayanti could choose her husband. Damayanti chose Nala and they got married in spite of the gods' play to test the committed love of both of them. When King Veerasena died, Nala became king. He conquered many other kingdoms and became famous. This made his Pushkara jealous. He knew gambling was Nala's weakness. Pushkara challenged Nala to a game of dice in which Nala lost everything. Pushkara became the king and banished Nala from his kingdom. It's all due to the wicked trick of Kali, Purusha, who has been awaiting a chance to deviate the king Nala from the path of righteousness, as he challenged the gods that he would force Nala to deviate from the path of Dharma. Nala went to the forest and Damayanti, who loved him very much, followed him. As they walked in the forest, Damayanti injured her feet. Nala did not want the delicate Damayanti to go through hardships with him. So, when she was sleeping, he left her and went ahead. Further into the forest, he found a snake on the top of the tree that had caught fire from below. As he tried to bring it down, the snake bit him and Nala turned dark and developed a hunchback. Nala asked the snake, "Why did you bite me?" "I was trying to save your life." The snake said, "I am your father Nishatha. The next 12 years will be full of difficulties for you. So I have changed your form to protect from your chemists, from your enemies. Whenever you want to get back your original form, you put on this ornament. You will attain your original form." He said these words, gave the ornament to Nala, disappeared. Nala proceeded to another kingdom. Meanwhile, when Damayanti woke up, she found a note from Nala asking her to go to her parents. As she moved ahead, she met a demon that threatened to eat her. Impressed with her fearlessness, he came into his real form. He was actually a god who told her that she would until with her husband after 20 years. Damayanti proceeded to Achalapura kingdom, where she became the queen's maid. Nala went to the kingdom of Rituparna and became a servant of the king. Many years passed. One day, King Bhima's men found Damayanti in Achalapura and brought her back to her father. King Bhima tried to find Nala but failed. So he made a plan. He arranged the Swayamvara for Damayanti, knowing that when Nala came to know about the second marriage of his wife, he would certainly come to her. King Bhima was right. Nala came with his master, the king of Samsukamara, A day before Swayamvara, Damayanti saw the dark hunchback servant. She immediately recognized him. Nala also put on the ornament given by his father and regained his original looks. But the Swayamvara had been arranged to Damayanti, asked him to present there. But Swayamvara had been arranged only to unite them. On the day of Swayamvara, she put the garland around Nala's neck and they were united. The 12-year period was also over. With the help of King Bhima's army, Nala won his kingdom back and again became the king of Ayodhya. Eventually, Nala and Damayanti had a son. After making him the king, they renounced the world in search of spiritual enlightenment. This story presents Nala as an icon of righteousness. Now, Kartavirya valor. He was a disciple of Dattatreya. He was a mark of valor and conquered even Ravana. During his rule, his subjects were very happy. With his yogic powers, he used to settle in the minds of those who had a thought of committing a mistake. Rantideva, kindness and concern for wretched. Natvaham kamaye rajyam, na swargam, na punarbhavam. Kamaye dukkadaptanam praninam matinashanam. I don't want that kingdom. I don't even want either heaven or moksha. I want only one thing, that no one in my kingdom should cry for his lives. With this great motive, Rantideva led a great ideal life. The kindness of Rantideva is such that even at the time of dying, he wanted to save the lives of others. He prepared to offer food to needy. Next, Bali, generosity. The generosity of Bali finds no bounds. Even after knowing the intention of the seeker, he did not hesitate to offer a place on his head to be measured with the third foot of Vamana. Next, CB, epitome of helping and saving others. Sibi Chakravarti is an epitome of saving the refugees. His magnanimity is proved through his preparedness to offer his lives for the sake of protecting a dove from a merlin. Sibi story. Shibi Chakravarti was the son of Ushinara Maharaj. Shibi was a Mahadata and his virtue of charity was praised by many in the 14 Puranas. Devendra and Agnideva once wanted to test the greatness of Shibi's virtue of charity. Agnideva took the form of Kapotam. Devendra took that of Shena, Merlin. The dove which was chased by the Sena came to Shibi's royal court and pleaded, "Help, help! O king, help, help!" Seeing this, a Raja Purohit said, "Maharaja, with a fear for life this dove came to you. Every being has a fear of death. Also, there is no greater deed than protecting others. However, we know that giving shelter to a dove is an end and indication of one's own death. Hence, we may have to perform some compensatory ritual which will be necessary. Though replied Maharaja, afraid of Sena, I have asked you to save me. Actually, I came great sage now in this form. Vedas say that a king must protect the wretched and helpless. The Sena, which reached the royal court, by then said, Maharaja, every being takes many forms. This creature came to you seeking your help, the form of his dove. Don't forget that dove is food for Sena. Please leave this dove and leave the dove, which is my food, and save my life. Sibi Chakravarti thought, in a country ruled by a king who does not give assurance from the fear to a refugee when he was a fear for his life, there will be no rains. His life there will be crucial, no crops, and it will be the nilayam for Chama Devata. Also, the people will have to face many difficulties, and finally, such king will reach Narakam. However, that Sena is with hunger and has put a lot of effort changing his prey. Taking away food from his mouth is also a sin. Now, what should I do? Shibi. Oh, Sena, I will give you a better taster food than this. Please leave this dove. Sena, Maharaja, if you are really such a kind one, give me the flesh from your right thigh, which is equal in weight to the thought of the dove. Immediately, Shiva Chakravarti got a balance wrist and kept the kapotam over one side and started to cut his right thigh. Then he himself sat on the balance. Sena said, enough. I am going, and went away. Seeing this, the king Shibi asked, O dove, who are you? What is your story? Maharaja, I am Agnihotra. This Sena is Devendra. He came to test your kindness to the beings who seek your shelter and your virtue of charity. You qualified it. Your fame will spread to all the worlds. Your son will also keep your name, said, and both fire god and Indra appeared before him and in their real forms and bestowed up on him many boons. Next. Pururavas Matru Bhakti. Garuda is treasure of all virtues. His strength is peerless. He is a mighty personality. Besides all these qualities, his devotion to his mother is unique. Garuda is the son of Kashyap, a great sage, and Vinata, a daughter of Daksha, a famous king. Garuda was born with great hatred for the evil, and he is supported to roam about the universe, devouring the bad, and also well known for his aversions to snakes, a dislike he had acquired from his mother, Vinata. Kashyapa, Garuda's father, had two wives, Kadru the elder and Vinata, second one, the younger. There was a great rivalry between the two wives. Once they had an argument over the color of the horse, Uchai Shravas produced during the churning of the ocean just after the time of creation. Each chose a color and laid a wager on her own choice. The one who lost would become the other slave. Kadru became the other slave. Kadru, the Kadru proved to be right by chanting Vinata with the help of her sons Nagas, who by the word of their mother, creating an illusion from a distance, that the tail part of the horse was black, and as part of the agreement, imprisoned Vinita in the nether world Patala, where she was guarded by serpents, the sons of Kadru herself. Garuda, on hearing of his mother's imprisonment, descended to Patala and asked the serpent king to release Vinata. They agreed to do so and demanded as reason a cup of Amrita. So Garuda set off for the celestial and they gave him what he required. Before he could get the Amrita, he had to overcome 3 hazards set up by gods to guard the celestial drink. He had a great fight with them all and defeated them. Indra, the king of the gods, struck him with a thunderbolt, but Garuda proved a superior warrior and defeated the gods and continued unscratched on his journey to Patala. When the serpents got the Amrita, they overjoyed and released Vinata. Garuda got his mother back, but he became inveterate enemy of the serpents, the sons of his mother Kadru. Also, the serpent's sign symbolized evil, and that automatically invoked Garuda's hatred. This is an instance of the staunch devotion of Garuda towards his mother. After saving his own mother, Garuda made it to Indra. In that process, some drops of the Amrita fell on the Darbha grass while they touched by snakes, and as a result their tongues were forked into two due to the sharpness of Darbha grass. Ever since, all the snakes became double-tongued. Next, Dharma Vyada, dutifulness. The story of Dharma Vyada supports the Puranic principle that it is acceptable even if a dharma practically followed by a person is important by that person irrespective of all differences. This story was narrated by Markandeya to Yudhishthira. Once there was a Brahmana named Kaushika who was a highly principled celibate. He did various sincere penance. He studied all the Vedas and Vedangas very keenly. Once he was sitting under a tree reciting Vedas. A crane sitting on the tree left excreta on him from above the tree. Kaushika became very angry and looked at the crane. Due to his serious look and angry looks, the crane fell down. Thereafter, another time Kaushika went to beg alms. He stood in front of a house. The housewife was busy in cleaning the wet utensils. Then her husband arrived. She served him sincerely, washing and drying his feet, and then feeding him. After that, she came out with alms to the mendicant Kaushika and said, "Sorry, pardon me for waiting. Kaushika looked at her very angrily for keeping the Brahmana in waiting only because I was dutifully serving my husband. I am no errand that perched on the tree. To be killed by a violent thought and your rage can do no harm to a woman who devotes herself to the service of her husband. O great one, you do not know the secret of duty, and you are also not aware of the anger in the great enemy that dwells in man. Forgive the delay in attending if you go to Mithila and be the instructed in the secret of good life by Dharma Vyatha, living in that city. The Brahmana was apologetic and he thanked the lady and went to Mithila to meet Dharma Vyatha. He thought he is searching for some lonely hermitage. Instead, he finally reached a butcher's shop in which was a man selling meat. He was astonished when he learnt this man was Dharmavyada. The Brahmana was shocked beyond measure and stood at a diagnostic distance in disgust. The butcher suddenly rose from his seat, came to the Brahmana, and inquired, Revered sir, are you well? Did that chaste Brahmana lady send you to me? Kaushika was stunned to receive that question from him. This is a second surprising thing to him we received from him. The butcher said, Let us go to my home. The Brahmana saw there a happy family and greatly struck by the devotion with which he served his parents. He took his lessons from that butcher on dharma, man's calling and duty. Afterwards, Kaushika returned to his house and began to tend his parents' duty, which he had rather neglected before. Thus, this story narrates how the duty-mindedness of a person, even a person like a butcher, makes him successful and acceptable to be a preacher to others like the celibacy Kaushika. Thus, there is a great gap between the body and the virtues of every man. Shrekantai Kalyana Nide Nide Dram Sri Venkatamasaaya Srinivasaya Mangalam Mangalasasana Pare Padacharya Purogamai Sarvaescha Purve Acharya Satkritaya Stu Mangalam.